So what's happening in the 2, 3, and 4 unit market of small plexes in the Bend area on the east side specifically? Well, I'm here to tell you about that. Today, I'm Jeff from oregonplex. Working on 2, 3, and 4 unit properties is the single thing that I do as a real estate agent. Why? Because that's what I've built my whole portfolio on as well. I have about 50 units or so of properties just like this one, and I like to hand compile the data for what's going on here around Central Oregon. And I like to break it down between the west side of Bend, the east side of Bend, and Redmond. And today we're going to talk about the east side of Bend. So here's what's going on right now in terms of duplex, triplex, and fourplex properties, and how many are listed and what some of the stats are. So right now we have six that are active on the market. This is actually down a little bit from the last time that we did the report, couple last times, but we'll also see in a second that our pendings are up, and so that's probably why the active ones are down overall. Only one new 2, 3, 4-plex listed in the last month, whereas before in April, I guess maybe the spring listing season, it was busy. 5 new properties came on board, but right now, just one has come on board in the last 30 days. So our average price per unit, which I think is just, not all the units are the same. Some are, could be 4 bedrooms, some could be studios. So we have to take all that into consideration, but it's always useful. People like to think of price per unit as a measuring stick to just have a good sense for what's going on. So our price per unit right now that's being asked is $361,000, which is up a little bit from April, but down a little bit from March. So I'd say it's kind of in the continuing to be right in the same strike zone. On a price per square foot basis, we have a reasonable number at 309, which again is down a little bit from 319 and 358 before that, but staying kind of in the same overall approximate price per square foot. Our days on market are going up to 83 days on market. So in the pending world, we have 4 properties that are pending now, which is more than the last that we've done at 2. The last couple of times I've pulled this report and compiled the data. So I like to see that personally. I like to see that things are flowing. I like to see that properties are being listed. Sellers are being realistic in terms of what they're asking, because that shows an earnestness to sell, and that it's being reflected in the fact that things are indeed going pending and ultimately closing. One of the little bits of data I always like to look at is looking at the question in the last 6 months, how many properties have been listed but then pulled off the market without having been sold. And the reason I like to look at that is I just think it's kind of an indication of how many sellers might put a property out there on the market just to kind of see what they might get. It's sort of an experiment rather than a sincere, I've decided for sure I'm selling my property and I really want to move it in a reasonable amount of time. And so that number has continued to be 8 here the last couple of times, and it was 9 back in March. So pretty consistent overall stat we're seeing there. So definitely some properties are going on the market and not being sold, and just being pulled off. But still, we are getting closings because in the last 180 days, we also have got 12 closings, which is the same number we've had here the last couple times I have pulled this report. Our average price per unit is $312,000 versus 304 and 314 before that. So again, sort of in the same ballpark. Our price per square foot of 310 is not too far off of 300 the last couple times before that. And these properties are getting sold, going pending in 124 days. So one of the things I always like to do is see what is the price per unit that's the data says this works. 312,000, in this case, almost 313,000 works. Well, what are people asking now? They're asking 361, almost 362. So there is kind of a gap here between what people are asking for properties and what has been proven. I mean, you can look at closed sales as sort of proof of here's what's working currently, and this is sort of an attempt to see what might work up here. So we do see that people are listing properties on a higher price per unit. But one thing I think that's encouraging is the price per square foot here and here is almost the same, 309, $310, and I think that that is actually a good sign. It could just be that these properties here, the price per unit could be higher, maybe because they're just simply maybe more bedrooms per unit and some things like that that kind of make it a little bit different than this number down here. So overall, it's a pretty, it's a reasonable market on the east side of Bend. Things are happening. New properties are being listed. Things are going pending. Things are closing. Things are closing here in 124 days, which is, kind of a long time, but it's all relative. So I think that's a reasonable time frame. We'd rather see that number be a little bit high than have no closings at all. So things are going pretty well, I would say, on the east side of Bend. If you are thinking about buying a 2, 3, or 4 unit property in Bend, west side, east side, if you're thinking about doing it in Redmond, all I do, I'm inch wide, mile deep, and my focus as a real estate agent only duplex, triplex, and fourplexes. If you value that kind of very very specific expertise, then feel free to please reach out. Be happy to talk with you about your property or your prospective property that you might want to buy as well. Okay, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and I will see you in the next one of these market update videos.